立可当平庸功。给我！
So I just came from watching Ne Zha 2. Ne Zha 2 is a really hyped up Chinese animation that released in January, and it's been really getting so much hype online that I just had to find a way to watch it. And now that I've seen it, wow, this film has claimed the title of the highest grossing film in China and highest grossing non-English language film, becoming the first non-English film to earn 1 billion at the box office. Damn! And it ranks as the highest grossing film of 2025 and the 8th highest grossing film of all time. Damn! Wow, I don't think I typically hear such high praise for an animation. So in this review, I just wanted to discuss the first film a bit and also do a comparison with the second to see why this second one is so damn good. So if you've never heard of Ne Zha before, let me just give a small recap about the first film. In the first film, there is this deity, Yuanshi Tianzun. This franchise is really deep in Chinese, did I say mythology or folklore? I'm not sure the right way to say it. So whenever I was watching both movies, first one or second one, I kept feeling like if I really knew the Chinese background behind this character, I would understand the film better. But anyway, Yuan Shi Tianzun has this thing called a chaos pearl, and it becomes sentient and they need to stop it. So what him and his disciples decide to do is that they take the pearl, they break it up into two, and these two parts end up having the spirit pearl and the demon pearl. So it's a sort of yin and yang, and the spirit pearl is basically the good side and the demon orb is the bad side. So the demon orb becomes, well, our main character. Ne Zha over here, he's kind of annoying in the first film. The spirit pearl goes to another character, Ao Bing, called Ao Bing. Now here's the thing, I feel like it's best that you watch the first film, don't go into the second film without knowing the events of the first, because the second film picks up right where from the events of the first film. First off, this one is going to be kind of obvious, but the second film is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, the first one is from 2019, so obviously this one being in 2025, that's 6 years. The technology obviously has really upgraded, and therefore you can see that the animation is really good. I mean, boy, this is coming from a guy who typically doesn't care that much about visuals. So if you hear me saying that the visuals are stunning, it's really worth the praise in how it looks. Our main character here is going through 3 trials, so it's really nice to see Ne Zha sort of developing as a character in this film. His parents play a really huge role as usual, and something happens to them. This is going to be a non-spoiler review, and I'm going to try not to spoil anything. And it really changes the course of how the film goes, as at least the way I expected it to go. It kind of, what happens to his parents sort of like makes the film go in a way that I did not anticipate, which I really like the writing in this film. And let's address the humor. Now, the humor of the first film was, in my opinion, more geared towards children, to be honest with you. Especially there was this joke in the first film of this guy, every time the camera cuts to him, he has like a high-pitched voice. And also in the first film, there's fart jokes. So in this second film, I mean, the humor hasn't drastically changed, but I feel like in this second film, the humor is more family oriented than just for a young audience, at least in my opinion. It also has a lot of death. This film has a lot of death, and I feel like this is obviously, as an animation, it's going to be geared towards kids. But damn, the theme of death in this film is so heavy, and there are some scenes that can make you cry. So if you're an adult, don't be surprised if you find yourself just ending up tearing up. So in the end, why is it such a huge masterpiece, and why is it making so much money? I would say that the character arcs are pretty well written. The visuals are absolutely insane. The action delivers really well. I feel like a lot of people are going to compare this to Kung Fu Panda. And as a person who's a huge fan of Kung Fu Panda, which also had a really good first film, and then the second one, probably in my opinion, Kung Fu Panda 2 was even better than 1. This one is sort of the same thing. Ne Zha is also kind of the same way. You have a really fast, solid film, and then the second one is just mind-blowingly good. So yeah, I would say that it really does deserve the praise that it's getting. Would I be willing to call it a masterpiece? Yeah, it's pretty good, though I should criticize that the run time is pretty long. 2 hours and 30 minutes is not for the faint of heart, but it does flesh out the story of Ne Zha as I expected, because I can clearly tell the writers of this film know what they're doing with this character. And also, there's a post-credit scene just like in the first film. So yeah, you have to stick around for that, not just walk away just like that without getting to see that post-credit scene. Out of 10, I think I'd be willing to give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. If when I watched the first one, I gave it a 7, simply because in the first film, Ne Zha came off as immature. I mean, he's a child. He's a child, so I could understand his character. And he's not your goody two shoes protagonist. He's very complex, and I liked the way in the first film he sort of seesaws between good, bad, and until he receives his redemption. But in the second one, now it's time for him to grow. That's the thing about the second one. He's supposed to grow, and that growth does not come comfortably. It comes with a lot of ups and downs, and I like the fact that the writers got to expand more on that. So I give the first film a 7, and I give the second one an 8.5 out of 10. The visuals are just, they have to be experienced on the big screen. So even if you're going to wait for this to come out maybe on like digital, I think it will pop really well on your screen. But I think that anyone who watches this in the cinema will have a really fun time. And it's a film that, well, even though as I said, it has scenes about death, it's one of those films that works well for adults and for kids. If you enjoyed my review, make sure to smash like and subscribe. Once again, as I said, this is a film that is deeply rooted within Chinese mythology and religion. For example, when I was first getting to understand about the first film, Yuan Shi Tianzun is a deity, and he's one of the highest deities of Taoism. You see, now, like me, I don't know anything about Taoism. But if you're watching from China, you can feel free to expound more on the mythology, and I feel like those who are watching from China will really appreciate this film much more than people outside China. However, I think the writing, the characterization, the visuals, the humor will work from time to time depending on, humor is subjective. On this screen, I'll leave other reviews I've done for films of 2025. I'm not like super new to Chinese animation. I did do some reactions when I was starting this channel, so I'll leave them here in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.